Welcome all. In this video I will explain the keyword void. And before we do that, we go back to functions, because in the previous video we have seen a function. And we can see a function as a black box. And firstly, a function has a name, for example the name f. The function has inputs. And the function has an output. And what happens here is that the function processes the inputs and that results in a single output. So how that looks like in code is as follows. So we implement a function here above the main function. And we start by defining the data type. And the data type here is the data type of the output of the function. So we have the output here. And the data type that we declare here is the data type of the output. So for example, if the output is a number, we should use the data type integer. Is the output a piece of text, then we should use the data type string, etc. So after we typed the data type here, we define a function name. So we give a name to the function, then rounded brackets. And between the rounded brackets, we define the inputs of the function. Then it follows with curly brackets. And between the curly brackets, we implement the function. So let's make a function which prints a name in a fancy way. So this function gets a single input, the name. The name of the function is print name fancy, and this function has no output since the function only prints the name in a fancy way on the console. It has not to return anything, so therefore it has no output. So let's implement this function. So we start here by the data type. So this is the data type that the function returns. However, we see that this function does not return anything. It has no output. And if a function has no output, then we use the keyword void. So void here means that the function does not return anything. Then we have to define the name of the function. So for example, print name fancy. Then we have to define the inputs of the function. So in this case, we have a single input, the name. The name is a piece of text. So therefore we use the data type string for the input name. So now we have to implement the function. So again, what this function must do is print the name in a fancy way. And how we print it is as follows. So we first print two tildes on the console with a space. Then we print the name. And then we print again a space and two tildes. So how we print the name on the console is in this way. So we print two tildes, then here the name, and then again two tildes. So now we have to use this function. And we can use this function by typing the name of the function. So we type here print name fancy, then rounded brackets. And between these rounded brackets, we define the inputs. We give the inputs to this function. In this case, we have one input, which is the name we want to print on the console in a fancy way. So for example, we can type here Tom. So what this does here, it calls the function, meaning it goes from this location to the function. Furthermore, it passes this piece of text to this input here. So the string text is being copied into this input here. And then it executes all the statements in the function, which is in this case a single statement which prints the name in a fancy way. And then it returns to the place where this function is called, namely at this location here. And then from here on it continues with the program. So let's run this application. and you see it prints Tom in a fancy way. So now we used a hard-coded name here. We can also make this variable. So for example, we can make a string n. We can say to the user that the user has to enter a name. And by using cin, the user can enter a name. And now instead of using a hard-coded name, for example here the name Tom, we can use a variable here. And now we use the name in this variable n here. So now the value here in n is being copied into this input name when we call this function. So let's run this program once more. So now we have to enter a name, for example Nick, and now you see it prints Nick in a fancy way. So that's it for this video. In this video we have seen the keyword void.